In the last week, we've seen the brutal murders of Iryna Zarutska by a black criminal for no reason at all other than she was white. Charlie Kirk was precisely assassinated in the most brutal and public way possible. And actually this week, I was forwarded a voicemail.
They're going to do you like they do any other person who is a threat to their riches. They're going to, that's what I understand. They're going to kill you and confiscate all your evidence and destroy it. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm so sick and tired of the tyranny that's happening in this nation. I'd be willing to be a kamikaze to help you in any way possible. Just, fill my van full of a loud message and, go to the right place to make a statement.
That's where we are in America now. It's simply our governments in the United States and Europe, and they are playing us in a sick and twisted theater. The first thing that needs to be said is that voicemail was real, and that's a person that is angry and hurting. I don't know who they are, and they were trying to reach me. So I will simply say, I hear you, but I implore you to do nothing rash, nothing violent, or take any matters into your own hands like that. You are too valuable, presumably, as an American, to wreck yourself like that. So I condemn the thought of doing that. But I can see why someone gets to that point. The biggest reason I condemn it is because if someone did something like that, not only do you have the potential of harming people that don't deserve it, but these sick fucks will use an act like that to their advantage. Your word, your efforts will likely mean nothing. So I steadfastly implore everyone listening and everyone you share this with to do nothing violent or rash. Now, here's a very delicate subject for me to bridge that has to be bridged. What's the 4th of July all about? Independence. Independence from England, 1776. A revolution. A revolutionary war. To be free from tyranny. Taxation without representation? It's funny. Hundreds of years ago, we would fight wars for far less wrongs being done to we the people than are happening to all of us right now. The United States was literally founded on breaking free, breaking the law, warring against tyrants. Those tyrants pale in comparison to what we have now. So that's nice when someone like Gavin Newsom or old AOC condemns violence in any way, shape, and form. But are you not condemning the very existence of this country? I know why you're doing it. Because the politicians doing it are absolute pieces of shit slime balls that are destroying all of our lives. No politician ever gets to the root cause of a problem. I did a video recently about school shootings. A horrible thing, very emotional. In fact, there may even be an ad on this video, how my sweet child was gunned down by an AR-15. I want gun control. Understandable. That is a parent that's hurting. But that's also probably somebody that has been utilized for political leverage. 17 kids on average die a year in a school shooting in America. But a couple hundred die a year in school from recess and sports. You do anything about that? 7,500 people a year in America die from being hit by a car, which means a wine-swizzling, day-drunk, affluent, Karen, white, liberal woman in her SUV sipping her cafe frappe with almond milk is more likely to kill you than an AR-15. Thousands of people dying from that. But the politicians do nothing. They don't say anything because they use our emotions against us. A year, in Asking Old Grokky, said 94 people on average die in the U.S. military. Could be an accident if you're a retard on an aircraft carrier deck, blow yourself up, drink too much, or maybe you're in modern combat. But 6,000 veterans off themselves every year. And that's only the number that's reported. What's being done about that? 6,000. 6,000 United States veterans had such a traumatic experience through our United States military and how they were cultivated to be the weapons of war they are, or to be part of that, and to see what they did and have those traumas and then just get splashed back to idiot civilian life where nothing seems to matter and all the military vets say everything's fake and gay, because basically it is. They don't deal with it well. Oh, maybe a politician cares 10 or 15 years ago for 5 minutes and then it's gone. Hey, no problem. You got PTSD? Oh, maybe they'll give you what, 12 pills a day? Like my buddy? The pill kill, they call it. Just turn them into numb zombies on pills. And then maybe eventually they just die from that. And then they're not a problem for the United States government, military, or VA. Or at least that's the way they all feel. But nobody gives a shit about that. They'll talk about the 17 kids a year that died in a school shooting. A tragedy, of course. But you'd think that's the worst thing in the world. Because we're being manipulated and used by Democrats and by Republicans. We're being manipulated by billionaires. We're being manipulated by... There is no traditional media anymore. Every single TV channel, including Fox News, CNN, I don't care. Every single one of them are only propaganda. The generations that only watch TV, they're lost. It is only propaganda at this point. No one knows what influencer to trust. Which talking head? I'm conservative, always been a Republican. Voted for Trumpy 3 times. Not real happy what he's doing right now. Actually, I'm really pissed off. Sellout. We all believed he was American and cared. Let's say he does. And he's a big fucking pussy. And he doesn't have the courage to stand up to people like Netanyahu with Israel while they commit their atrocities and genocide in front of all of the American people. While laughing in our face and taking our money. Gaslighting us. Manipulating us. Hey, as conservatives, we liked the Daily Wire for years. Old Ben Shapiro was the first one that could really argue against the insane liberal horde. And we liked him for that. Seemed like kind of an annoying fellow, but we liked him for that. And you know what? Nobody in America is actually very anti-Semitic, as they say. Nobody really had a problem with Jews. That's just not a thing in America. But then one day, we started to notice some things about the Daily Wire. And then it became very clear that Ben Shapiro is only a paid Israeli shill, an agent. And all of that conservative media platform is just a way to garner all the support from the conservatives to sucker them into Israeli shit. PragerU, same thing. Influence everywhere. So what conservative media is left? Individuals that we worry about. Is Tucker Carlson really our friend? He's got more money than he knows what to do with. But that man still seems to relate to the common man more than anybody else. I was on his show. I enjoyed my time with him as company, and the man is brilliant. He is absolutely incredible at what he does, and you never notice it from just watching him on camera until you sit down with him. Really cool. But does he really have the stripe of everybody else? I'm an asshole right now sitting around some awesome machinery. And you may be judging me for that. I don't blame you. But what you don't see behind this motorcycle is a toolbox. I know exactly where every tool is. I know exactly how to use it. And the only reason any of these things exist here, the only reason I have a nice roof over my head with my wife, is because I work on things and I fix shit with my own two goddamn hands. And I know how to clean up a little and talk well. That's it. I'd never be able to afford a goddamn thing if I couldn't turn a wrench. This motorcycle I bought for $600. It was wrecked and collecting dust in the corner of a body shop. And I fixed it up. Every single thing I have is like that. But that's something else they want to take away from us. The right to repair your own stuff. They want to make it so there are no new cars anymore. We don't own our own property. Ride shares. No control, no autonomy, no freedom. They want to mandate electric cars. California, Joe Biden administration. Why? It's complete control. The absolute regimentation of industry is one of the hallmarks of fascism. The left wants to call Donald Trump and the Republicans fascists. Partially because they're so stupid, the only thing they know of fascism is right-wing, nationalists, Adolf Hitler. So I guess if you're right-wing and you really want to be conservative to traditional values, guess that makes you Hitler. But in actuality, when you look up the real definition and the mechanics of what fascism is, it's exactly the way in which the left had been operating under the Biden administration. But to be fair, the Republicans' old Trumpy is doing the same shit. Same shit, different day. Two parties. Different cheek of the same asshole. The uniparty. We have no third party. This is an unsportsmanship college football game rivalry where we all lose. Government spending. Doge. That was to get rid of it. A miraculous, amazing thing, right? We cheered it on. We knew it'd be rough. But was that just the brilliant move to make us all vote it in and let it happen? So it's a perfect backdoor for old Elon Musk that seems to also be a champion of the people, but connected with like Peter Thiel and Palantir and trying to push things like unregulated AI for 10 years and the big, beautiful bill. Oh, guess you rubbed one out in the mirror to that one while sitting on your golden toilet. Huh, Donald? That's where you got the name? Unregulated AI for 10 years and complete access to all the government agencies and all the information there. Smart. Evils. Diabolical. That kind of smart. Because with that kind of power, the United States government will no longer matter. Any shred of law and order, any shred of any influence of the people is gone. Forever. That alone is enough to oppose anybody connected with the government on any side of the aisle in totality to the brink, no, to war. That is the destruction of humanity. That is the destruction of individuality. That is the destruction of innovation. That is the destruction of the human experience and the soul. And old Trumpy's all about it. Let's pretend there's a good guy in there. Let's just assume. Let's give him that benefit of the doubt. Somewhere there's a good guy in there, an American, right? Well, clearly he feels the pressure for the AI arms race with China. We're going to have to do that because they're going to do it, right? In his arrogance, did he not remember that he's only going to be in for 4 years? Let's just assume it's not a one-party system. What happens when the Democrats get in and they have the same power? If you're a conservative and you love Trump to the end, it's not just going to be Republicans forever. I hope it's not. We need checks and balances. We need to care about people. We need differing opinions of all the wonderful, different people of America. So if you set the ultimate power for the government to control everybody in every way, shape, and form, program them and know everything, you gave them all the power. You gonna turn that over to something else? We're all supposed to just go along with Donald Trump? Because that's what he almost created and is on the way. Peter Thiel, the weird, somewhat disfigured homosexual that appears to be a clinical psychopath. I said appears. I wasn't entirely sure if he is the Antichrist, doing lectures on the Antichrist. He knows. Transhumanism. You know, it's a cheat. Transhumanism. The ability to live forever, upload yourself into a machine. Chips. It's a cheat. It's a cheat to the human experience, to the soul's journey. By people who have no God. They have no ability of spirituality and belief. They're afraid. They're frightened children that can't lead. But worse than that, I hate a cheat. I hate a cheat in sports. I hate a cheat in racing. You know why? Because in racing, I want to beat you fairly. Even if I know you're cheating, I want to beat you fairly because I want those sons of bitches to know you lost because I was better. I was faster. I tried harder. I had the courage. I had the discipline. I made it happen. And you lost. That's what I want. But they cheat. And anybody else who cheats in any way is the same. They are only admitting to themselves at that moment and the world that they cannot win of their own merit. These transhumanist billionaires, they're cheating life. They're cheating God. They're cheating their soul. All they did is admit that they are weak and they can't win. And in the sense of winning, it's not a competition, and that never was of life. It was living well. They're broken people. But these are the broken people with power that are infiltrating the entirety of our world. Let's take it a step further. What else is wrong with Trump? Unyielding support to the nation of Israel? It was never about the Jewish religion. It was never about that. It's about what we call Zionism. Netanyahu thinks we're fools. He's certainly been quoted in the past at hating America, hating us, manipulating us. What is it? Mossad's slogan is power through deception. We see a mentor of somebody like Ben Shapiro teaching you, when they're on to you, you attack them. You accuse them of what you're doing. You know, we saw that same tactic with the Democrats. Everything they would accuse the right of doing, they themselves were doing then. But if you criticize this damned little nation, this damned little government, they want you to feel bad for being anti-Jewish. No one's anti-Jewish in America. We have been propagandized for 80 years after World War II and conditioned to not be at the very least. But you'd have to be blind or stupid not to see the atrocities that Israel as a nation is doing. You'd have to be blind or stupid as an American to be okay with our money going to that. What do they do for us? What do they do for the world? Because the near as I can figure, fucking nothing. Guilt trip. My friends that have Jewish mothers, they can tell you all about the guilt trip. Funny, that's what we get from Israel. Guilt, deception, The Charlie Kirk assassination? At this moment, the best intel is that it was leaked from the ATF that a gun was found. And this gun was a 30-06 Mauser, pretty high power hunting ability rifle from range that could make that shot. But on the ammunition was inscribed with trans-related things and hate. You know, Charlie Kirk's assassination was the most public thing I've ever seen, we've all seen. We're to be enraged by it. There's a lot of political power there. Was it accidental? This funny little leak saying that certain newspapers around the world reported on it accidentally, briefly, the day before it happened. Now, I don't know if that's true. You know how the internet works? But what I can tell you I know is there's a lot of power with his death. Power to make people feel and drive them to something. So, if a nation of Israel was worried about finding support, and the person that went on their own to kill our Charlie Kirk happened to be pro-Palestine, Hamas, Muslim, Middle Eastern, wouldn't that be a great way to leverage that for support for Israel? Or maybe some nation that Israel wants to attack? Or to distract from what's going on there? Because the American people are waking up? I don't have to suggest it. It's just an obvious possibility. But if you happen to shoot him with that rifle, perhaps that is the rifle. Perhaps it does exist, and perhaps it does have those angry trans type messages on the rounds. Yeah, well, you, I, or anybody else can write angry trans type things because that's going to get reported. And then everybody's going to believe it. So I don't know what happened there. All I know is it's horrific. I never expected to see such a thing. But in this day and age, that amount makes us numb. But Iryna, this nice-looking little Ukrainian girl, she gets on public transportation, walks down and sits down, right in front of a black man. That's what all the Democrats, liberals, and black people of America want, right? You wanted racial equality. You wanted to feel normal. You wanted us to be totally okay with you. Well, we are. And she was. Past tense. What failed here? Well, one, our judicial system in America. A radicalized judge bought by somebody like, let's say, George Soros, and put there. That's a great way to affect laws in the United States, isn't it? Get some kooky dukes political activists bought by a radical person made to destroy the fabric of America, to judge rulings and verdicts that are insane to create precedents. Well, this particular feller had been to the court system 14 times, many felonies, an obvious thug. So he just got mad for no reason at all, stabbed her in the throat. Shocked, she looked up in horror, shock. An innocent person with the worst, I never want to see that again. And looked at that subhuman pile of garbage in his actions. And she succumbed. Every single father in America, of every nationality and color, resonated with that. My hatred is for these activist judges. But they were never worthwhile moral human beings anyway, because they were placed there by sick billionaire fucks that manipulate countries and currencies to destroy us because it's profitable. What do we do about it? It doesn't affect us. Oh yes, it does. I can tell you that as a professional, as a middle-aged man, as a taxpayer, as a person who has 2 Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards in education for the work I've done in philanthropy, building a nonprofit, mentoring the best engineers of tomorrow, as a father, as a husband. I even got to fly with the Air Force Thunderbirds for my work with that. I no longer believe the United States has a genuine rule of law. Our court systems are kangaroo courts. We live in a banana republic. I know for a fact that the more money you have, the more law favors you. You want to destroy somebody's life? No problem. You lawfare them. You just have lawyers file frivolous suits and things, and you bleed a person dry. Hey, maybe they'll off themselves too and not be a problem for the billionaires and wealthy people of America that lawfare people to death. Just like veterans won't be a problem to the VA or the military anymore if they off themselves. By the way, for all you veterans that were watching this, if for no other reason exist out of spite, they don't fucking care about you. I care about you. Think about it. 6,000 veterans at least a year kill themselves. What could we do together? A small handful of Marines can take over an entire city in the Middle East. 6,000 men and women, valuable men and women, that were left to rot and ruined by a system and a government and political fucks that don't give a rat's ass about you. You want to be angry? Be goddamn angry. Now, I am fucking pissed. Am I going to go out and do something illegal or violent or stupid or some act of terror? Absolutely fucking not. I create. I lead. So any of you sick fucks out there that want to pin anything on me, don't. I condemn violent, stupid acts of terror. But then again, what is terrorism? A failed coup? Would the founding fathers have been considered terrorists to the British government and monarchy? Probably. So what's the fine line? Where does history judge it? What do we have in America? Our housing market, that's been manipulated during COVID. So we can't afford them anymore. But if we can't afford them anymore, things like BlackRock and private corporations can come up and buy all the family homes. And then sell a few to themselves for massive amounts of money and change the structure of everything. And then make it so no young person will ever be able to afford a home again. And they'll have to rent. If you have to rent your home, you lost your power. You're not going to make families the same way. You're going to have to work your ass off until you die, and they can bleed you die. How do I know this? Because it's no different than a bunch of rich fucks do with fancy cars like this one. I love fast cars because I work with my own two damn hands. I love racing. I love the history, and that's what matters to me. I fucking love it. If not one person in the world gave a shit about a fancy fast car, I don't care. I still love it and it means it to me, and I want to hear that engine sing its goddamn song at 200 miles an hour. That's what I want to do. But some fucks can buy a bunch of these things up and manipulate the market. Buy them cheap, sell them to themselves for world record values, and do it. Why? Because in the car world, there's no rules like you have with stocks. What is it? With companies, if you buy more than 5 or 10 or 15, something small, percent of a company in stocks, you have to announce it publicly. But with cars, you can do anything you want, and you don't have to report it to anything. So they manipulate markets. I first noticed that when I was in college. Every year, another Ferrari model from the past would double in price. Funny, like clockwork. But it was years later before I saw it actually done, and the people doing it just told me what they were doing. There's still people out there, even listening now, out there today, that think the news is real and not propaganda. That politicians aren't just bought pieces of shit. That the United States still actually has a rule of law, and the scales of justice are blind. But then again, these are the same people that know if you speak out for any value, you stand a risk to lose everything. They will destroy you. The common comment on my videos are, Casey did not unalive himself, which is a joke. Because isn't it weird how people all over the world are just conveniently committing suicide? The Clintons have left a wake of friendly suicides in their trail. AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, the Conservative Party in Germany, that's getting massive traction. Because Germany is being destroyed by leftist absurdities in government. People like George Soros, Bill Gates, even Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Larry Ellison. People like those are the ones that Grok says stand to gain and profit from all this illegal migration throughout Europe and the United States. Well, then why wouldn't those friendly, fine, awesome chaps not throw lots of money at politicians throughout Europe? Even if maybe they say online they don't like it. To just destroy the fabric of Europe, the fabric of the United States. So if you have a conservative party in Germany, have you guys noticed that, what is it now, 7 prominent politicians for AfD all died suddenly? Somebody had AI calculate the chances of that. It is a small percent of 1%. They're being offed. Western world is being destroyed in this manner. Who's standing up? Who has a voice? Even if you have a voice, they'll take your voice. Or they'll take your life. Or they'll smear you. It wasn't that long ago that one of, I think, the Christian Bale Batman movies, the too much power for any one man to have was the ability to see everyone's cell phone at any one time. How quaint. Any billionaire or big government official already has all their opposition research people that can get you or my social security number in seconds, whether they know your whole name or not. They can dig into anything. And when I once asked one of them, I said, well, if you're running for political office, if we can do that or you can do that, that means they can do that. So what's to stop them from just going in all your bank accounts and ruining your life? And that person said to me, well, they can. But if they did, they'd be fucked because we can track it. No. The elites, the billionaire class, and the federal level politicians want us all to believe that we still live in a nice country. Why is it there are no arrests in Washington, D.C.? Why? How many people in the Biden administration committed treason? Plain and simply. I bet you a lot. Did you know that a military tribunal for treason, an acceptable method of capital punishment, is still hanging? Hasn't happened, I think, since 1961. But you know what? I think damn near every American would be okay with that. How many people say, I'll volunteer rope if it's done legally? A lot. Hell, I would. Hell, if it's legal and no one else will do it, I'll tie the knot. I'll pull the lever. I'll build the gallows. Where are the people that need to do this? These are the people ruining our lives, sapping us dry, that think we are slaves in a corporate prison farm, which is how America functions. No matter what industry or facet of our world and modern world in America, we have walls. I said this nicely in a keynote speech in front of Detroit. I said the institutions that help build our modern society also are the things that limit us. And that is a very nice diplomatic way of saying we live in a fucking corporate prison farm. Our medical industry does not give us the medicine or the drugs that will cure us. The curative drugs are bookshelved because the things that only treat symptoms are wildly more profitable. They want us sick. They'll never admit it, but truly they do. Would all Americans be better off if we just never went to the doctor or the hospital? Isn't that a funny thought? Or would it be a wash? It's possible. No one trusts the medical industry. No one trusts vaccines. I sure as fuck don't. Why would we? We have eyes and ears and look around and read. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. Were you born before the internet? Do you remember life before the internet? I do. You know what people were like back then? Thin, happy, and healthy. Why? Well, the medical industry actually tried to help you more. 2, food wasn't horrific and toxic and addictive. When I was in high school and before, no one was fat. Then when I wanted to start dating more in high school and college, everybody got fat. And I didn't understand it. I actually thought everybody was lazy, and I resented that. But what I didn't know it was that this was done to us. And our garbage, God-forsaken government was not there to help us or protect us or guide any industry for the betterment of we the people. They let it happen because it lined our pockets. That's the same reason why pharmaceutical drugs create commercials on television. You see, they can't sell it directly to the consumer, so what's the point of advertising it? There is none. It makes no sense. But by advertising, they can condition us to think it's okay and feel it. But more importantly than that, they have all the advertising dollars to TV channels. So effectively, they own that channel, and that channel is going to do what they want them to. They bought it. You don't have to own the network. You don't have to own the channel. It's funny because that reflects exactly what a Rothschild said hundreds of years ago. If I control a nation's money, I care not who makes its laws. It's funny how that works on different scales. What else about America? Do we trust our law? No. What do we trust? Educational institutions, college, tuition, wildly expensive. Loans for 17-year-old kids for any major, regardless, that you cannot default on. These same 18-year-old kids would never be given a business loan for even a tenth of the money of what they can get for college. And they could default on it. Because a bank will only loan somebody something if they think they're going to pay it back with interest and make money. But you could go bankrupt and not pay it back, but not a student loan. So colleges naturally adapt and grow. They become fatter. They give you less. They become more profitable, bigger endowments. And offer majors like fine arts, where you just become a liberal kook. You know nothing about business, and you make modern art, which is kind of garbage that no rich people wants to buy. So they end up working at what? McDonald's, broke for the rest of their life, angry at the system that fucked them. So they become politically radicalized, liberal typically. Isn't that fascinating? The universities become wealthy, and you put a system in place to create political radicalization of many, but also stymie the future. Because none of these young people, even doctors and lawyers, they're in debt for so long, they will never create a business. They will never create an innovation. They will never do anything on their own. They will not be independent thinkers. They will not be leaders because they're stuck paying back that loan that stymied them from before they were even legal adults. How many universities, public like Ohio State, private, have multi-billion-dollar endowments? Have you ever thought about if those endowments were just invested in the market for a small return, that money made a year, how many full scholarships would that pay for? There's schools out there that could literally afford continuously to completely fund the education of every student they have. But they don't. Politicians, governors, the president don't mandate that. Why? Can you imagine how strong of a nation we would be in the world? the powerhouse. If we gave the scholarships to the students that would actually do it, for majors that would actually create thinkers, innovators, business people, the brilliant minds of tomorrow, even art, but maybe art that doesn't suck, that wasn't influenced by what? Communism and the CIA to destroy the fabric of America? Sound familiar? Who really supported Jackson Pollock? Where did all that trash come from? Why is it that so much high-end art nowadays is only money laundering? But a bunch of people will stand around with their glasses of Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc and talk about how great it is and the meaning, like they're sniffing their own farts from a South Park episode, when it's really just trash. And a few hundred years ago, people were doing incredible things that were beautiful. What else? Cars. The automotive industry. Nobody can afford new cars anymore. They become more and more complex for no reason. Why? The manufacturers, they have to sell new cars. They have to make money on fixing them. They want their warranties to go. They want planned obsolescence. They want you to buy new. But they're not making it any better or more interesting, just more complicated. Why do new cars have navigation in them? Our cell phones already all do. That's better and updates more readily. So why the hell are we paying for that in cars? Why is that me personally can design in my head and build a car representative of a recyclable mass production technique that could build an economical car for $20,000 and on just diesel? In the first test, it was 104.7 miles to gallon without all the aerodynamic fairings and with stop signs and turns. And it has the same 0 to 60 as a C7 Grand Sport Corvette and a Tesla Model 3 with a full charge, beating a Dodge Viper. That car could get even higher miles to the gallon if it wasn't as fast, but it's fast. And then when I did the math the next day on the carbon footprint of burning 1 gallon of diesel and the carbon footprint to generate a kilowatt hour of electricity, national average in the United States, my diesel prototype car alone has a lower carbon footprint per mile than the average electric vehicle in America. And we have the infrastructure to transport diesel already, biofuels. Not to mention that the production of the vehicle and its carbon footprint is not only wildly lower than a normal car, it's astronomically lower than an EV, which is horribly toxic to produce. But the left, who have touted the environment, champions of the environment, Mother Nature and animals, and all of our health for years, shove EVs down our throats, even though they solve no problem and make new ones. It's power and control. It's only ever been power and control. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe it started off nice long ago. But now, we are only used emotionally for power and control. Let's look at how both the right and left of America are manipulated for power and control. I'll start with the left. The environment. Funny, there's a lot more ice in Antarctica lately. That's weird. Funny, everything you ever predict's going to happen hasn't happened. Funny, all your leftist politicians and wealthy leftists have beach homes. Guess they're not worried about a rising tide. Keep shoving EVs down everybody's throat. Nobody can afford them. They're toxic to produce. Not every Democrat and leftist is so dumb to not realize that. But it's power and control. Money from one pocket to another. Money from the automotive industry. Money from petroleum. Is there a big world play to get us away from brick nations? Or is it just because if you have self-driving cars connected to the internet and algorithms, and everybody drives an EV, you are now controlled? Your travel in a motor vehicle along highways is no different than the algorithm of the internet. It will take you where it wants you to go, at the time it wants you to go, at the speed it wants you to go. And here's the diabolical part. Google was making a car. Really ugly little piece of garbage, wasn't it? Do you think they care about being a car manufacturer? Do you think they cared about making a car? No. Then why? When people are in a car, driving a car, you have hours and hours and hours and hours to not only get data from them, but the unspoken part is, if they're captive for hours, you have the ability to program them. Why else would Google want to make a car? But they're leftists, right? It was always about saving the environment. Guess it's a problem that some guy from Ohio built a diesel car with a lower carbon footprint. We better not talk about that. We better make that go away. Because that actually is a solution. One that's better for the world, the environment, and every single man, woman, and child. But not better for those who want to control. Not better for governments with Machiavellian, totalitarian mindsets. Equality, DEI, equity, and inclusion. Funny thing, people are worried in the left about rights going away. But the truth of the matter is, we never needed hate crime laws. They're redundant. There are already laws about the equality of everybody. But hate crime laws and DEI was never about actual equality. It was about power from one direction to another. Laws that are one-sided and weighted. No longer are the scales of justice blind and balanced. Color is what matters, and they are weighted. Period. What's the worst possible thing if you look at it? We saw the jokes in Hollywood. I think it was Bill Maher talking about how they choose who gets awards in Hollywood. And he joked, wouldn't it have been easier to say, just not Chris Pine? Funny, but true. He's a good-looking, straight, white man. I too possess those qualities. We can argue on the good-looking part. I guess it wasn't as good of a joke as it could have been right now. This is heavy shit. Who do you want to control? Who do you want to keep down? Those who would fight for something. Those that have a sense of community, of country, of history. The left's method of control is to get everybody enraged, that other people have more. That's why we need equality and equity. Oh, there's a wage discrepancy. Women aren't paid as much. Yeah, they are. You're not taking in all the factors and you're making people believe and getting them enraged. Oh, we need to make everybody feminist. But by making everybody feminist, you just made a lonely, angry women. It's funny, there was an article that said feminism has come full circle. And now feminist women are willing to trade sex for room and board. And it's like, hey, since you made it all the way back here, maybe just have a nice relationship. And you might actually enjoy the person you're with. And this man will provide for you. And if you potentially just pleasant and do your job in this construct and tend to the house, maybe help raise a family, do it. You know what? Everybody might be happy. And that's really cool you came up with that idea, because that's the way humanity's been for thousands of years. But you wanted to be better than that and special, because leftists wanted power over you. And arguably the government just wanted women to work too, because if you destroy the nuclear family and make everybody work, you can tax more people. But it's funny, divorce is good for the economy, right? Think about it. If you break up a family, well, then you're going to have 2 homes and split all these assets up. Everybody's going to have to work their asses off to barely make it. Better for the economy, right? Destroy the nuclear family? Destroy any sense of history or happiness of young people for the future? Make them go to college and wildly in debt, possibly in a major that won't even get them a job? They'll have to work until they're dead? Genius. All these things just sap every shred of humanity, individuality, and wealth from every man, woman, and child, and destroys the future. All old kooky dukes left. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Except your music sucks. Our music sucks. But it was all that leftist stuff that created that black thug that murdered that nice Ukrainian girl. I am so far beyond being emotionally reactive to that, other than I never want to see it again. Just like the rest of America. Dear left, what you created is this. You created a nation of people that realize that they have to defend themselves. It would be preferable if the person that attacked them would never be able to testify. And that's what people talk about. And that's what people know. Many people want to be violent. I was sent a voicemail of somebody trying to get to me, of a person saying he's willing to make an innuendo, make a very loud statement with a van. What does that mean? Sounds scary, doesn't it? I do hope that person calms down. The right, Republicans, let's smack those assholes around a little bit. Well, the right wing champion things like the nuclear family. I can get behind that. That's good. Maybe not for everybody, but generally very good for all of humanity. In so many ways. Community. Actually supporting police officers that help create law and order in a nice civil society. We need that. All people around the world need that to be able to live a peaceful, worthwhile, and constructive life. Such great things. Possibly lower taxes. Possibly a less wasteful government. But what do we get? We get a bunch of kept men paid by AIPAC. Oh, the American-Israeli PAC that funds them. Oh, brilliant people like Ted Cruz that know nothing of the Bible and spew bullshit like they're God's chosen people, even though that was the Old Testament and before Jesus Christ, rendering that statement moot. Not to mention the fact that it's the modern nation of Israel. Their evil is nothing to do with biblical times. That's what we have in the Republican Party now? Vile allegiance to a genocidal little nation? And if you bring that up, you're attacked, you're ruined, you're smeared, possibly assassinated. Wow. What else? Trying to work into the big beautiful bill, unregulated AI? We already talked about that. We're going to be blind and dumb. We're going to be stupid. We're going to backlash so hard from the Biden years that now we're going to be horrific to all people? I'm not okay with that. I like nice nuclear families. I like married couples that stay together. But you know what? I've also met a lot of people of alternative sexualities and lifestyle that I think are fine people and I would consider friends. We're going to backlash so hard in totality that we're going to be horrible to everybody? Give nobody a chance? Whether their lifestyle is right or wrong? Does it necessarily matter? Didn't we just want everybody in all the country not to be hurting and harming others or children? Regardless of who you are. But everybody has to figure out their own way and their own life's journey and the soul's journey. Period. We no longer have sympathy toward that? Why would you think there would be anything other than enraged, radicalized trans people now? They have been used in the worst way possibly politically over the last 5 years. They have been made to feel like fools, that they're wrong, that they're not people with a heart. That's wrong. Is it wrong to have drag queen story hour for children? Yeah, I think so. I think it's fucking vile and wrong. I don't impose my straight sexuality on kids. You think if I brought my Playboy coffee table book and go, hey kiddies, here's a centerfold. You know that wouldn't go good. You have a pride parade. Cool. Nobody throws a parade for my sexuality. Or the way I fuck, as my buddy said. But put your dick away. Have a little decency. Public is public. You're mocking. You're making that happen. You're making it harder for alternative people to find any acceptance. I once said the classic gay and lesbians, the people who fought over the last decades for just feeling like a normal member of their community. That's all they wanted. Do they like all this crazy trans stuff going on? No, because it hurts all of the rainbow community. Not only that, it hurts everybody. But political powers and billionaires know that. Trace the money. How many people like George Soros are funding that? Because they know it will destroy the fabric of America. We're all being played. Every single one of us Americans have so much more in common than we have difference. We're all valuable. Every veteran who has committed suicide, every veteran who's thought about it, they are valuable. If to no one else, then I think they're valuable. And I'm going to do another video on this because I think we should do something together. For every LGBTQ plus person out there, you're a valuable person with a heart. But you know what? There's probably a couple of you who are pieces of shit. Well, you know what? No one cares how you fuck or what turns you on. If you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. If a person out there in the world tries to do harm to a child, doesn't matter if it's mine, my neighbor's, or anyone else's. I don't care if it's an inner city little black kid. If somebody tries to do harm to a child and I see it, you're going to have to deal with me. And I don't care the opposition. Motherfucker. If you harm the innocents and the people and anyone else out there, there are more people like me. Our system of law in the United States is no more Good Samaritan help. If you stand up to save people on a train, you'll go to jail. There's a joke out there about signs on the highway. Kill or injure a construction worker, $15,000 fine or 5 years in jail. And the joke people say is, well, I might as well get my money's worth. I don't have to explain to you what that means. So in America, if a good Samaritan or somebody that's going to help others is going to be taken down, then everybody in America is going to realize, then fuck it. All in. Save the innocent. Save our future. All of us. Every single last one of us imperfect goddamn humans. Every single one of us have something that's not perfect. And that's okay. Life's journey is about growing, bettering ourselves, good people around us, our community, no matter what that is. You don't have to live in cutie pie suburbia bullshit. Whether it's the inner city, whether you're poor, whether you live on a Native American reservation, whether you're in Manhattan, Palm Beach, broke-ass West Virginia, Kentucky, does it matter? We all have communities. But that was one thing I remember from my childhood before the internet. No matter who you were, how you looked, or what your community was, you could at least feel good about who you were. But not today. No matter what community you're from, no matter what tribe, no matter what group of people or what you identify as, no one gets to feel good about themselves anymore. Why? They're poking us. We're just rats in a cage, poking us with a stick. Their reaction gives them power. Why is it that most of the people up in Washington are clinical psychopaths? They can't build anything else. Career politicians, even if you like them, they're still there. Why? Get the fuck out. Build a business. Do something for your community. Why are you sitting there in Washington? Well, they have power. They have money. People want them in there. That's the broken aspect of our government. But more than that, they're cheating. They're cheating life. They're cheating themselves. They're cheating their constituents. Get out. And why are they cheating? It's like I said before. They already know to themselves, and by doing it, they've admitted to themselves, the world, and God, that they can't win on their own merit. They can't do what's right. All these congressmen and women that have been in for too long should be out and doing businesses, but they're still there. And this is the disgusting cancer that's taken over our country. Is one thing to blame? No. The rabbit's holes go deep. We're all to blame. How many of us stopped standing up for what's right? Because it was easier to just look away. Don't cause a fuss. They'll cancel you. What happened to all the old guys? I remember telling me stories when I was a kid. All the old World War II vets. They would have stood up. Did you ever see the movie Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood? His neighborhood was going downhill. His grandkids didn't appreciate him. He was a Korean, War of Korea vet. The kid that he mentored, the neighbors, were the nationality that was the enemy then. But he mentored the kid. And the kid cared and had better qualities than his own ungrateful grandkids. And the character protected him, looked after the community, stood up for what was right in the face of adversity. And in the end, sacrificed his life. It's a setup so that the evil gang would go to jail and let the community live free to grow. And then he gave all that he worked for, everything that he held dear, physically, to the young man. And the reason being is because that young man, the Korean kid, presumably if I'm getting it right, upheld his values more than his grandchildren. And that's why it was so important at the end of the movie that the kid was driving away with, I think, the dog in the car, the Gran Torino. Because it wasn't about the car. It was about the values. Because then the kid would stand up for tomorrow. For people. For his community. For his nation. Regardless of what they look like or their background. That's what the men in my life did. That's what my grandfather did. He fought in the Battle of Okinawa for the army. Landed Easter Sunday. Sent my grandmother flowers before they were married because he never thought he'd get to do it again. That was one of the worst battles of World War II. He has a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. He's gone now. I uphold his values. We don't fight wars like we did back then. We have new ones. You think he wanted to go to war in the Pacific? No. Did he? Yes. Why? When I asked him how he won the Bronze Star, why was he awarded that? He did it carrying a radio and carrying water, because the other guy got shot and killed. And he volunteered because it was his turn. You stand to make things better. Well, it's my turn now. I don't like what's happening, but I will goddamn fight tooth and nail to make our country and everything better in the face of overwhelming adversity. Our government is sick and will destroy you in every way, shape, and form. Our politicians are, and these sick fuck billionaires to tear us apart. I will not pick fights. I will endure for everybody else around here. And I will remain calm where it matters when we are getting played and they are trying to enrage us. But we will direct this in a constructive way and better tomorrow. So help me God, for no reason other than I want every person to have a better tomorrow. And I will not back down. I urge you all to be steadfast, calm. Feel the feelings, feel the rage, feel the anger, feel the guilt, feel the sadness, feel everything. And don't forget. But stay true. Hold fast. We stand tall. Tomorrow will be better. I will see you guys next time.